Hello writers, hello my loves. Today I want to talk about how childhood trauma can be impacting your levels of fear around writing and also what you can do about it. The first thing that I want to say when it comes to childhood trauma is that many people may not realise that they have experienced trauma. And this is because we can have a couple of different levels when it comes to traumatic experiences. We can have a level that's referred to as a capital T trauma, and we can have a level that's referred to as a small t trauma. So there are many people who are like, well, I clearly didn't experience trauma because I never witnessed someone being shot in front of me. I was never physically abused. And so they're not aware that there may be experiences of trauma that they have gone through. So I want for you to understand that those small t incidences of trauma are incidents where you yourself felt traumatized. Now, I'm very much a person who went through small t trauma, and for me, I was incredibly traumatized by situations in the classroom where I felt humiliated, or situations where a teacher might have told me off. I was such a sensitive child, so literally being shouted at by a teacher really gave me the experience of like severe trauma. So the small t trauma is any situation where you felt that you were not able to correctly deal with the situation, you didn't know what to make of it, you didn't understand it, it felt beyond you, you didn't know how to think about it once it had happened. And so what happens in these small t trauma situations, if we don't understand what took place or we don't know what to make of it, the unconscious mind does one of the things that it is designed to do, which is take a memory that has what's referred to as an unresolved emotion and to pop it away somewhere. Pop it away somewhere where it's not going to be there at the forefront of your mind getting in the way. Now, it does this as protection, but the trouble with this way of like filing things away is what then happens is you have the equivalent of a bruise, but you don't see that bruise, and so you don't know that it's there. So for example, if I had a bruise on my arm and I knew it was there, I'd understand why it felt sore if someone poked it. But if I couldn't see the bruise was there, I wouldn't understand why that area felt really, really sore. But it's also to understand that this is being dealt with by your unconscious mind, and so you're not aware of it. So you don't realise there's a bruise there, and you don't realise that you're doing all that you can to make sure that that bruise doesn't get knocked. So this is where it plays into the fear of writing. You might have an unresolved emotional experience that perhaps you can't remember, or you've written off as like, oh, that wasn't so bad. But because there's a bruise there, because there's a soreness, what's happening is your unconscious is preventing you from doing anything with your writing because it's going to hurt that unresolved experience. So you don't understand why you're not showing up for your writing, and you're trying to force it, but your unconscious is like, are you nuts? We're really bruised. This is really going to hurt. So that's what's happening. That's how those traumatic experiences in our childhood can really cause that fear around writing, and why it's so difficult to get over, because you're forcing yourself to move forward in something that isn't healed, and you don't understand that there's a wound there, and there isn't that communication between the conscious mind and the unconscious mind. So what do we do about all of this? First of all, it can be really useful to understand that whilst the unconscious mind has a role where it puts these unresolved emotions away, like it locks them away, the unconscious mind also has the capacity to bring them back up at a time when you're able to deal with them. So of course, it's not going to bring it up at a time when you're trying to force yourself to write, because you're not in the state of mind where you're ready to deal with that experience. we're ready to deal with these experiences in a space that feels safe, in a space that feels held, in a space where we might be working with a professional. So I really want for you to understand that if you're experiencing this fear around writing, then this is a perfect opportunity to understand that you've got some bruises that you can't see, and it's perfectly normal. I see myself as a completely normal person, perhaps a little bit quirky, and I understand that I've got many unseen bruises. And now I really understand the process of doing that healing work. And to me, it's what inspired me to become a shamanic practitioner, to become a life coach, to become a neuro-linguistic programmer, because I learned all of these modalities as I was doing my own healing work. So the first thing that we can do when we really start to understand, okay, I might have some unresolved childhood trauma, is to begin to seek help. So the first thing that we can do is to seek help from a therapist. Now, you might be watching this video going, well, look, Gabriela, it's all very well you saying seek help from a therapist, but what happens if I can't afford that? So what I want to do is I want to recommend one therapist whose content has been immensely helpful for me. I've never signed up for a one-to-one session with her. I've never paid her any money, but her work has been incredibly helpful to me. So her name is Lori Gottlieb, and I'm going to put all of the information of all the people that I'm shouting out in the description below. So you'll find all the relevant links in the description below. Lori Gottlieb, she has a book. I actually haven't read her book, but she's got more than one book, and they look fantastic. The reason I haven't read it isn't because I don't think they're great. It's just I haven't got round to reading it yet. But what I do recommend is her podcast. She's got a podcast called Dear Therapists. And in that podcast, she actually runs therapy, like live therapy sessions with people who have written into the show. I find that immensely helpful to witness somebody else having a therapy session that resonates with something that I might perhaps bring to a therapy session. So that podcast is absolutely gold. There's plenty of free content. Lori does fantastic interviews. And as I said, there is a few books that she's written too. So she's a fantastic resource if you're not able to financially commit to a therapist, but you want to start getting the benefit of therapy. Another person that I hugely recommend is an amazing woman called Nicole LaPera. So Nicole has written a fantastic book called Do the Work, which is an amazing book. She is an amazing woman. She has a YouTube channel. She's very active on Instagram. She does tons and tons of interviews. She also has a paid community where you could sign up to work with her. But again, you can really get the benefit of her work around healing trauma without having to make that financial commitment. There's so much content that she offers that's really nutritious, that's really valuable. It's not the kind of content that is unfulfilling, that's just trying to get you to buy her products. She's genuinely committed to putting content out there to helping people do the work, as she says in her book. So again, we'll put links to that below. And of course, you can always reach out and have my support if you feel drawn to work with me. I suppose the difference between my support compared to Lori or Nicole is that I specifically work with writers. I'm not a therapist, so that's not the area that I go, but my shamanic work, my neuro-linguistic programming, and my life coaching gives me a different set of tools to help people look into past trauma, to help people really reset their past. So there's ways that you can engage with that work. You can come and you can access my paid community if you really want to go deep and you really want to have that live connection with me. Or again, if you just want to dip your toe in and just check things out, there's a free version of my community where you can start to just explore things and get a sense of like, could this be the right place for me? And just get a small amount of support, a small amount of connection with me. And it might be that the freed version feels like the place that you're at the moment to just get that taster. Again, we'll put the links below, so you'll find links that will give you much more information about my Write No Matter What community. But I do also highly recommend Nicole and Lori, both incredible women, both unbelievably generous souls, both creating such beautiful, honest, authentic, impactful content. And lastly, I just want to really give you my heart today. I know what it's like to have that fear of writing. Like literally, if I'm honest, folks, I'm actually tearing up right now. I really know what it's like to have that fear of writing and to have experiences that happened in the past that you didn't really understand, but to also feel like, well, nothing that happened to me was really that bad. So I don't feel justified in feeling so afraid, or don't feel justified in saying that I feel traumatized. I was really in that place myself. I was like, nothing happened to me is the kind of thing that would hit, that would be on the news or hit the front page of the newspaper, but it felt traumatic to me. And I can't tell you how much freer I feel now having done the work. And also, I want for you to understand that I'm continuing to do the work, that for me, my personal and professional development, it's a journey that I'm on. It's a continuous journey that I'm on. And I really welcome doing the work now. It does get easier. And once you start to really liberate yourself and find that place where you feel excited about writing, you really understand that that's your true self and you finally set yourself free. Share some stuff in the comments below. I'm here to support you. So if you've got questions, do feel free to reach out and we can chat in the comments. Sending you all my love, friends, and really giving you understanding and deep compassion today. It was really beautiful to spend this time with you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care.